Hello everyone, I'm Jamie Ream and I am the owner and lead designer of Bud Floral and Home, and this is our first virtual class, so be patient. There's going to be lots of side noises. The store is open, so you'll hear some dinging. You may hear some people coming in and out. We may ask them to join us, but we're just going to get started, and I'm going to show you how to do a Thanksgiving arrangement. Just a little bit about myself before we get started. Like I said, I'm Jamie Ream, and I'm the owner of Bud Floral and Home. And if you go to our website, budfloralandhome.com, it tells my story and gives a little bit about me and tells you why I named my shop Bud. It was after my grandfather, paying tribute to both of my grandparents, Bud and Margaret. And then it also talks about my business partner, who is Susan Reynolds, who does the home and art. And we've got some lovely art back over here behind us. So that's always fun that as we do these virtual classes, we're going to be able to showcase some of our fun artwork. And today's artist is Emily Boyd. So anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to walk you through first everything that you should have in your kit. So you should have your vessel. It's a container. I call them vessels, but you should have a brass container that's a little compote. You should have some coated chicken wire. You should have a bamboo skewer. And you should have an orange, a cutie orange. You have a little palm, a little fall palm, daisy palm. And we'll start with the flowers. You have roses in here, and you should have 6 roses. You should have 3 cremones or football mums. These are big football mums, bronze football mums. You should have an ornamental kale. You should have a fall yarrow, a little bit of wheat, a fall lily, and your greenery, you'll have some salal, some magnolia, and some golden grevillea. Okay, so let's get started. I have my clippers, and you may or may not have clippers. If you don't have clippers, that's fine. Just get yourself some sharp scissors. Your kitchen scissors work well. Just make sure to wash them really carefully and real well after you do your arrangement. So I have some clippers that I can't even remember the name of them, but these are our favorite clippers. You can get them online at Amazon. I think they're like maybe $15. They're just hardy and durable, and we love these. Okay, we're going to start with your vessel. And with your vessel, it is easier as you're doing it. You need something to help keep your flowers stable so that they don't fall out and they have some form. You can do an arrangement without any sort of help, but it's much easier from a novice floral designer to an expert. We like to have some help with it as we're building. So the best thing that you can use to help is called a chicken wire, and this is your frog, your form that keeps it together. And so all you're going to do with your chicken wire, you can get this chicken wire, you want to make sure it's coated chicken wire so that it doesn't rust in your vessel. You can get this at Ace Hardware, you can get it at Home Depot, you can get it at Walmart, all sorts of places, but the key is just to make sure that it's coated. And so all you're going to do is you're going to just crunch it up into somewhat of a ball. You can see here, and then you're just going to push it in, and you're going to push it in tight so that it forms right in that container. And then once you've got that, you can see, I mean, it's in there, so it's not going to come out, which means it's going to help the stability of your arrangement. Then you're going to fill your arrangement, your vessel up with water. You want to fill it up about 3/4 of the way. All right, so everyone do that. You can hear the doorbell, so someone's coming in to shop, so we'll say hi to them if they come in. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you want to give your arrangement some texture and just using the greenery to help compose and keep your flowers in place. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our magnolia. And we're going to cut this magnolia, we're going to basically cut it in half. And I'm going to peel a little bit off. And I'm going to stick it right in. And I'm wanting to give it, I don't want it to be completely symmetrical, but I want to get it in the arrangement. So I'm going to put it in 3 different places. And this magnolia is so fun to use because of the colors, the brilliant colors on both sides. So I love using magnolia. And this time of year, in November and December, is the perfect time to use it in all of your fall and Christmas arrangements. So you can see I'm just kind of cutting this apart. And I'm going to do this one a little taller. And kind of just, we'll talk about it a little bit, but a rule of thumb is you'd like to kind of, measure your vessel and make sure that the tip of your arrangement is at least the height of your vessel. And that makes everything proportionate. So we're starting with the magnolia, and then the next thing we're going to do is our salal. And with the salal, you're just going to kind of fill in around where you didn't put your magnolia. I'm just kind of filling that around. And don't forget to just every so often turn your container around to make sure we're building an arrangement that's all-sided. So and when you're making your cuts, you just want to make a fresh cut, but it is nice. It helps it go into your containers a little bit better if you cut it at an angle. So I always just cut mine at an angle. And so you can see it just kind of fills in all along here. Okay, and then the next we're going to use is this golden grevillea. So I'm going to use this golden grevillea, and I'm going to kind of balance out a little bit where my greenery's going. So I have one bit of greenery going. I don't want it to be completely symmetrical, but I want something coming out. You can see it's coming out on this side, so I want something coming out on that side. Doesn't have to be exactly the same or exactly parallel, but you want to give that same texture on that side, that same balance on that side. So I'm going to cut this one a little bit longer, and I'm going to stick this right over here just to give it that balance on that side. And then I'm just going to fill in with this golden grevillea around on some other areas. Okay, so you have a beautiful green texture with all of your different greenery. And now we're going to start in with our flowers. So we're going to start with what I call power flowers. And there's lots of different ways you can do them. You can group them together. You can spread them out. For this arrangement, just to give it a fun fall look, I'm going to spread them out. So I'm going to start with our biggest flower, which is our football mum. I mean, just smelling these I think just sends you smelling of fall. Football, Friday Night Lights. And so when you're preparing these, you want to just pull the extra leaves off. And it's really easy, just rub it straight down and they'll come right off. I'm going to make a little cut that's pointed, and I'm going to put these just kind of around Okay, so we have our 3 fall football mums in. You can see I've just kind of placed them all around our vessel. All right, the next thing we're going to use is we're going to do our roses. And I've got some amazing roses. I stripped the roses for you guys so you didn't have to, but one of the ways that you can strip your roses is you can pull your leaves straight off, and then you can take your clippers and just clip the roses, the thorns off of them like that. Some people will take their thumb and just push it and break it off. We have what we call rose strippers that just work the best. It just does one slide and it takes the leaves and the thorns together. We always leave a little bit of these baby leaves at the top just to give it a little bit more presentation and kind of frame it. I also usually will take off the outer layer of stems, just those little protective, and make sure I like that. So I'm going to do that with all of them real quick. Again, yours are already stripped, but I'm going to make sure I've got it all off. I'm going to clip a little bit. And the way this arrangement is, sometimes they'll perk up a little bit. We just got these today, so they need to hydrate a tad. So you may have some that are just a little bit lag in your containers, in your kits, but they will perk back up. That one. And these roses are a beautiful fall rose called an orange toffee rose, which I just love. Unique and just screams Thanksgiving. And then we have our our orange roses, and they're just a typical bright orange rose. Sometimes they're called Orange Crush. It kind of depends on the grower. My grower calls these Orange Crush. So once you have these all cleaned up, and you can see it's a little bit darker, these little outside leaves, we're going to place those. And I think it adds a little bit of texture and just conversation to kind of split them up a little bit. So I'm going to do 2 of one color. And then 1 with it. And then I'm going to come in on the other side and do the same thing and do 2 of one color. And I'm kind of just going to play with it to see where I feel like with my greenery, to make sure that it you can see it. So I'm cutting them a little bit taller. This side's going to be just a tad taller. So you've got, kind of makes sense, your colors in Okay, and so our next big power flower is our kale. And this is ornamental kale, which is a fun fall, I use it a lot of times versus hydrangeas. It just gives you a big bang for your buck without, carrying a lot of real estate, but not having to cost a whole lot. So instead of, for these Thanksgiving arrangements, I did a kale instead of a hydrangea because the kale will last a lot longer. So again, I'll just pull off these that maybe have turned a little bit yellow, clean them up a little bit, and then I'm just going to kind of look around and see where I see, I call it a big dark spot or a big hole, and that's where I'm going to place it. And you can see, like, I feel like it needs a little color right in here. So I'm going to just insert it right in here. And don't worry if you feel like you need to take it out and redo it. So you can see it just fit right in there. And then I'm going to, this is a filler, but it's also a big filler that you can use as a power flower. So this is called yarrow, and it is a fall yarrow. And again, I'm gonna just look around and see where I see a dark spot and needing of a big hole filled, and it looks like it's right here, so I'm just gonna put it right in here. Okay, and then to give us a little height and a little texture and conversation, we're gonna add our lily, and that's gonna be my tallest element, one of my tallest elements. We're gonna do the wheat in a little bit, but it's going to, when it starts blooming, it's really going to give it a punch on these arrangements. Stick that right in, and you can see that I've just kind of let it go over. I had heavy over on this side, so I kind of put it over on that side to balance it out a little bit. And then I'm gonna do one more power that I wanted to tell you guys about. This is so fun to do in your arrangements, is when you're walking to your grocery store and you go into your produce area, think of those as a flower. Think of those as a power flower. You can use pomegranates, you can use apples, you can use pears. Today we're gonna use since we have an orange palette going, we're gonna use a little cutie orange. And so you have a bamboo skewer that you're gonna be able to use the pointed side, and you'll stick the pointed side in, and it just goes right in, and that's the top of your flower. And then you have a stem. Another thing that you can do if you don't have a bamboo skewer is you can use a rose. It's just as strong as a bamboo skewer, so you can use the stem that you cut off, make it as a really strong point, and it would go right in there as well. And that can be your stick. So if you don't have bamboo skewers at home and you're designing from your yard, that's another great tip to do. So I'm just gonna look around and see, I think I want this kind of at the top, just to add some fun to it. And then I'm gonna take our last element is our palms. And what I'm gonna do with these palms is I'm gonna break each one of them up. You can use your scissors, you can use they'll pop really easily. And this is just gonna give us some color, and all the way around, just a little bit of pop. And it's basically just gonna fill in those dark areas. So you can group a couple together if you want, or do them all over. And I'm gonna come through and just start with doing them all over. And if I feel like I have, and I kind of like just that loose, airy a little bit, so I'm okay with seeing a little bit of dark spots here and there. Okay, and this is your arrangement, and you can kind of tweak it a little bit. Like, I'm liking this. I'm not loving this being so far out, so I'm gonna pull this and make it a little shorter. And I may just cut that one little, and then that makes me just the balance a little bit better for mine. And it kind of just depends on the magnolia that you have. And if you have any leftover magnolia that you want to just kind of stick in around, and then the last thing that we're going to do is just to add, this is a fun technique to do. At the beginning, you know, I told you that you want to make sure that on your vessel, that whatever height your vessel is, that you want your arrangement to be that same height to give it proportion. Well, any part of your element can be that same height and it makes sense. So a good trick to use is a stick that makes it taller, or a piece of wheat, or some sort of thin natural element that does that. And this, just to tie in with our fall theme, we're going to do 2 pieces of wheat, and I'm going to just put them a little bit at a off-centered, and I'm going to make the cut. I'm going to keep it long because you can always go back, and I'm going to put it in. And that's your Thanksgiving arrangement. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait for our next class.